All right, Mr. Simple Biz Guy, let's start the show.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to episode 252 of the SimpleBiz360 podcast. Today, we are so blessed to have Tiffany Luck in the studio with us. Tiffany, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you could.
Well, like you said, my name's Tiffany Luck. I'm 37-year-old mother of one, and I have my own business, a salon, and that's how we met is I cut Jeff's hair.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
other than that, I just started business for myself in October of last year. Prior to that, I have 17 years experience of hair working in salons of various types and sorts.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And folks, this is going to be a fun show. And certainly you get to know Tiffany a little bit better, but also the entrepreneurial spirit. At some point in Tiffany's life, this idea came about, and she's actually pursued it, and has her own business now. So we're going to have some fun talking about that. If you want to catch us on, we can catch us on YouTube, IGTV for the shorter videos, and then certainly on Rumble TV as well. And then we're on 28 audio platforms, so you can hear this on any one of your favorite audio platforms as well. Stitcher, Apple, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. So today we are going to be kind of diving into a little progression of Tiffany, how she got into business, and a little bit about her life. So we look forward to it, and let's go. So growing up, where did you grow up? I mean, how many brothers and sisters?
I grew up on a small farm in Silex, Missouri,
Okay.
and I am one of eight, three full, three half, and two steps. So a very blended family.
Wow, very cool.
So,
Farm life. What was the average day like when you started out?
a lot of picking weeds, a lot of just hard work
Yeah.
outside. I did not like it growing up,
Wow.
yet now all of a sudden my favorite thing to do is garden,
Isn't
and
yeah.
picking weeds every morning is brings joy to me. So that's
Oh, that's
odd.
cool. Oh, wow. So is this something that was passed down generation upon generation?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So I think it just kind of was born into me.
Interesting. Any particular crops or livestock that you
It was
focused
it
on?
was crops,
Okay.
but yeah, I didn't really participate in the farm life other
Okay.
than working around the house and everything. But um, I've drove a tractor before.
Wow. So your family would sell the products or the crops to farmers, or grocery stores, or where? I mean,
Yeah, it was my mom's husband, my stepfather. He was the one that did that. So again, I
yep,
wasn't too far
yeah,
into it, but I guess it was just grain for
yeah.
cattle and
Okay.
such.
So from a distance, you kind of saw the entrepreneurial work on a daily basis, right? I mean, this was a farm that sustained itself, paid the
Yeah.
bills, and
Well, we didn't move there until I was 12. So prior to that, my mom was a single mom and we lived actually out in St. Peter. So
wow,
once we had moved there, that was her hometown actually.
wow,
So I didn't really get into, the country life
yeah.
until I was almost a teenager.
Wow, very but you embraced it, and it was like, yeah?
I wouldn't
No?
say I
No?
embraced it
Okay.
then.
Okay,
I
alright.
definitely did not. But nowadays, when I have my own house, my own property, it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, neat. So as you're growing up, I mean, how did you begin to lean into the idea of, going to beauty school and becoming a hairstylist?
So it actually wasn't while I was growing up. I decided to move out at 17 and I wanted to I think it was the independent lifestyle that I seeked. And I met a guy, fell in love. We decided to build a house, and then we had a baby really young. So I got pregnant at the end of 19, and I had her at 20. And unfortunately, I was very, very sick the whole time. I wasn't able to work.
Mm,
Her father took care of me the whole time. And towards the end of that pregnancy, really just trying to seek how am I going to take care of this child? I can't have him, take care of us our whole
yeah,
life. And
yeah.
I want to participate and I want to provide as well. So at that time, that's when I had decided, beauty school, let me look into that. And that's kind of where it started. I started beauty school 10 weeks out from giving birth. And then I went and had her and then went back to school. And I finished right before she turned 1 years old. So
Wow.
that's where it all started.
How long does beauty school? What are the hours in Missouri that you have to?
You have to have 1,500
Okay.
hours, and it really just depends on the pace you want to. I went full time and
Okay.
I went extra hours when I could. Again, it was hard. Me and her dad, would
Yeah.
have to switch off on who
Yeah.
picked her up from school, and that way I could stay a little later.
Yeah.
But, I worked hard because I really wanted to be done before she was
Yeah.
a year
Neat.
old.
Now, when you were a younger girl, did you like? I mean, did you like dressing up and play? I mean, doing these kind of things, styling, sisters' hairs or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. I didn't have a sister until
Okay.
I almost moved out, actually. So it was my half sibling was a sister. So I was raised around all boys. I knew nothing about
Wow.
hair, knew nothing about makeup, nothing about style.
Wow.
And it literally just, I'm very artistic, love to
Okay.
paint, love to draw, just anything art wise, actually, I like doing. And I think that's where it came from. I thought, I don't know about this. I would love to feel pretty. So let me,
Yeah.
look into it. Let me see what I can do. So that's where it kind of started.
Very interesting. So there's a kind of this creative, artistic aspect to hairstyling that also
Hmm.
kind of blended into this, which a lot of us that sit in the chair and have the haircut done to us or the styling done, we don't really see it through that lens. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Very cool.
Yep.
So when you started working and you obviously weren't working for yourself, so you started working for chains or other owners and
Yes.
stuff. I mean, you have to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to be a people person to be in that business, correct?
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I never had a problem with talking. I got in a lot of trouble in school for talking too much and not necessarily paying attention. So the talking came easy to me.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the second someone sits down and they say hi, I'm an open book.
Yeah.
I just keep talking.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's brought me a far
Yeah.
way. It's brought me a far way.
Well, I mean, and it's part of what makes you, in high demand, and because you always had a pretty full schedule. When I remember first working with you, it wasn't easy to always get a haircut with you because you did have a good clientele base, and I realized too, and you've obviously you get to be older, you've sat in a lot of chairs with a lot of different people cutting your hair, and it's it's an experience just as much in my opinion as it is, the final product, a haircut. It's the experience. Were the people nice? Did they listen to you? Did they engage with you? Did they listen to you really? And you always did and always do, which is a credit to you. So you like people, obviously. You like to talk, right? Obviously. Now, did you like both sets of people, the people you work with and the people that sat in your chair, or did you find an affinity to really get to know the people in the chair better?
Well, yeah, like anybody that works, you have your coworkers that you're not a big fan
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
and then you also have one that you have lifelong friendships with.
yeah.
And I've had several friends now that I met through hair, and I mean, they're as close as my ones from high school. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that more than anything. And when becoming friends with someone that's in the same industry, they get you a little bit more. So if there was any ever a frustration when working for someone else, you had people there right along your side,
sure,
knowing
sure.
what you were going through and understanding your frustrations.
Yeah,
So, um, I will always be grateful for the chain experience, working in chain salons and working for other people. But inevitably, I feel with hair, if anyone wants to progress, that is the ultimate goal
yeah,
is to move away from that. Once you've built all these relationships and friendships with your clients and the trust that you've instilled with them, so that way when you do decide to move on to your own, they will follow.
yeah. So in line with that, how many different, you don't have to name them, but how many different chains did you work with before you actually launched yourself?
So I've worked for three different chains, but the chains are all owned by different owners, so you can work at several
Okay.
different locations as well.
Oh, okay.
So over the years, I had jumped around. I actually went away from it for a while and cut hair on the side while I worked in an office during my daughter's elementary years,
Okay.
more so just for the regular 9 to 5. But at that time, I was also bartending and waitressing to try to make money because I ended up at 27. I built my own home and I needed all that extra income. So once she was old enough to stay home, that's when I decided to take it away again from my home and go back into a chain.
Wow.
And that was about 7 years that I built up my clientele until last October when I went
Yeah.
out on my own.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting. So, you go through the 1,500 hours. That's where you learn your craft
Hmm.
in beauty school. And then when you go to work for these chains, is there? Do you pick up and acquire best practices while you're working at the chains? I mean, are they teaching you anything along the way too?
The chains do teach a lot actually
Okay.
because they want you to, cut like their program,
Right.
sets. Um, but I feel like with the art of it, you do have to just be very observant of different techniques because not
Yeah.
every calyx the same,
Yeah.
not every hairstyle's the same. There's scars, there's baldness, there's all these things you have to take into
Yeah.
consideration. And unfortunately, you see more and more that some people don't take it as a craft and more of just a job. And that is what really sets the stylist apart from
Interesting.
one that can keep and obtain clients and one that is just there to collect a
Yeah.
paycheck. When you're cutting everybody's hair the same, it's not going to always turn out the same.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest thing that I observed and learned from was that you got to treat everybody individual and you got to really focus on their head shape and who
Yeah.
they are and what they want and what's best for each
Yeah.
one. And that does take time. Girls coming right out, you're taught one haircut, you're taught one
Yeah.
way to do it. Well, you need to go
Yeah.
outside that box and start watching other techniques, watching other people, asking for help, using Google, using
Yeah.
YouTube. But in doing so, that's what, will make you advance in your career.
Yeah. Well, and so cool. I really appreciate you drawing, delineation between a job and a craft, and really, you're looking at this as a professional craft, and you're trying to, and, I gather that you're the type of person that wants to continuously improve. And we've kind of
Hmm.
yacked about this before
Hmm.
while I sit in the chair, but right. I mean, you're somebody that wants to continually get better, learn how to do the colics different ways. You're right. Calyx, right? What am I saying?
Calyx,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Colics.
was like, what?
Yeah, alcohol. No, colics. So no, but the calyx are different, different ways, but based on different hair types, and
Mhm.
I mean, there can be different calyx on different parts of one head,
Yes.
right?
Somebody can
Crazy.
have one, and there's
Yeah,
people with four in the back. It's
yeah.
insane.
I know. I have a couple we
Yep.
wrestle with. I know. Well, it's so cool. But no, that is a huge, a huge input from you to this show because really, so many people can look at it as a job, and you chose to look at it as a
Mhm.
craft, and as a result, you got better. And 27 years old. Your daughter's now what, 7?
No, she's 17.
17,
I'm
right?
37
No,
now.
no, but she was at
Oh, yeah.
27 years old. She was
She was
7,
7.
and so
Mhm.
here, you're already, you bought a house then, right? I mean, you
Mhm.
built a house, so I
Mhm.
mean, you're already looking, constantly ahead, trying to figure out how do I improve the life of my daughter, my
Yep.
family, and it's you two, and I mean, this is amazing stuff that at that early of an age, you're putting all these pieces of the puzzle together because
Mhm.
not everybody does. And,
Right.
so here you go, you're traveling down, working for the chains. What did you learn and take with you about customer service from the chain experience?
Um, Again, mainly just if I was going to go into work, I didn't want to sit around.
Right.
I knew that every second was, important to make money because making money was where I was able to get our life improved over the years. And so with that, every single person who sat in my chair was an opportunity to gain a new friendship, to gain their trust, to get them back. So there would never be a point where I was sitting down and waiting for someone to walk through that door.
Right.
And that was the biggest thing,
Right.
like you said, it got to the point where it was pretty hard to get in with
Yep.
me because most of those places don't do appointments.
Yep.
They're just walk ins or put your name on a list. And I would almost have my feelings hurt if I didn't have a
Yep.
4-hour wait
Yeah.
because I felt like no matter what, that was the ultimate goal was to constantly have a wait, to never sit down, to never waste 1 second of time, that I could be making money.
Well,
So,
well, awesome. And folks, she's not kidding whatsoever. I mean, literally, there were, 181 minutes or whatever. I'm like, what? Wow, So I, planned different things and, you put different things on my plate before I went. But, honestly, I've been, for years and years and years, obviously been getting my hair cut. And, I've over time, I've found some people that, I gel with better than others. But I think that, one of the first times that, I sat in your chair and had you cut my hair, I really, I'm a customer service nut. And so I realized really quickly that you listened to me and that you understood that, I wanted, you asked me what I want, I told you, and you worked really hard to deliver it. Where I think a lot of other people say, you know what, why don't we try something else? Why don't we do something else? Or they don't listen, or, it ends up they talk too much and you can tell they're talking, stopping what they're doing. And you're like, oh my gosh, my hair's not getting cut. Where's this thing going? You know what I mean? But you really did. And it's one of the reasons that I said, you know what? I think rather than just sit in a chair with anybody, I'd rather come back and make sure I schedule an appointment with Tiffany because, she gets this, gets me. And I think that's an important piece of your success puzzle,
right.
right? Is it
Yeah, I
not?
agree 100%.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you listen to your customers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I loved what you did that no one else did is you right away connected on Facebook and and this is just super folks. And if you're out there and you have aspirations, maybe you want to jump off and do things on your own. One of the things Tiffany was really good at was making sure that she set up a communication network to be proactive about communicating with us. So if you got sick or something happened, you weren't, we knew
Mm-hmm.
about it. We knew, when you were going to be in the office or when you're going to be um, you know, in your working in the building that day or not. So I mean, it was really something that became very easy to work with you on that basis too, because you were proactive. You were getting to us before we got to you. We weren't blindsided. And I imagine many other, people like myself felt the same way or feel the
Right.
same way. So it was really good. And this is when you were working for a chain,
Yep.
which I thought was really cool. So, from a customer service point of view, is there anything that the chain experience like taught you and you went, ah, yeah, that's now that the light bulb just went off. That's right. Was there anything like significant that you picked up from that experience?
I think mainly it just helped me with managing my own
Yep.
business, keeping my eyes and ears open while I, still worked. But I'm like, I can do this. I
Yep.
can do this. So, down to the website that you'd go on to make an
Right.
appointment or, schedule a time, put your name on the list. It got me the wheels turning
Yep.
and wondering, okay, well, which site should I use?
Mhm.
Or, I like this aspect, like a steam towel on the face. I think that's a great
Mhm.
little extra that, doesn't cost anymore, but, makes them feel good when
Yep.
getting their hair shampooed. And so little details I carried over into my salon just because the candy bowl for the
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
little things
Yeah.
like that you wouldn't ever think if you just tried to do it on your own before, working
Right.
for a
Okay.
chain, you wouldn't even think to, do such. And it really stands out. I have some little babies that come in and their first or second time getting a haircut, nervous as can be. And as soon as I turn
Yep.
cartoons on the TV and then I give them a sucker, they're happy as
Right.
can be.
Right.
And then they start asking to come back.
Yeah.
So little details
Oh,
like
yeah.
that really go very far away.
Well, that can be a very traumatic experience as a
Yes.
little tyke,
Hmm.
getting your haircut. So, what's the percentage today of men versus women that you style for?
I probably do about, I'd say 70% men and 30% women. Um, and I mean, kids are a lot of kids in there. I
Yep.
do families, a lot of
Okay.
families. So a husband, a wife, all their kids. I have several families, which I'm very grateful for. It's
Okay.
great to have a space where it's my own room. So they all can come in at once, sit down. They
Yep.
don't feel like they're, surrounded by a bunch of other
Yep.
people. And we all can just talk like
Yep.
one happy family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I get 4 or 5 haircuts knocked out all at once.
Very cool, well, folks, and we'll get to all her URLs and contact information towards the end of the show. But we're talking about St. Peter's over on Mid Rivers Mall Road, off of
Mhm.
there near the Big Lots. There's but that's really where Tiffany has her place of business. So if you're listening to it, going, oh, or a neighbor that has kids and they've been struggling with finding a
Mhm.
comfortable environment that they can work with and people that the kids like,
Yes.
would highly recommend they pass this show on to somebody who's looking there and give Tiffany some extra business. But so you know, eh, entrepreneurship. I've tried 2 companies myself. They failed. I finally struck. I struck it right. Struck the chord on the third company I tried. But there's a lot of hurdles to go through. There's a lot of apprehension. There's a lot of roller coaster of emotions
Mhm.
that we go through as entrepreneurs. Share for the folks some of the things that maybe you had to wrestle with or were a roller coaster ride for you.
So I feel like I gave myself enough time and didn't rush anything that in hindsight, looking back now, I really didn't face some really bad hardships that
Mm.
some might face. However, there were little things going forward, like my initial suite that I had, signed up with, and I got my business license through the city and I had all these things. And then the suite was rented out from underneath me
Oh.
because the leasing guy, he's like, "Oh, I didn't think you would be done this quickly." Like, "Well, you don't know me,"
Yeah.
So I that ended up being a good thing though, because then I found the location I'm at now and I'm so happy with that location that I couldn't imagine myself at the other location. So little things like that, having to get my business license, then address changed and such. Those were little hurdles, but again, I'm a
Yeah.
go-getter and
Yeah.
nothing can get in my
Yeah.
way.
I mean, small. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what percentage do you think of ladies like yourself who are in the chain experience go off to launch off on their own? Is it a small percentage or large?
You know, um, I don't talking to the people in my suite, there's actually 35 businesses in my suite
Yeah.
that some of them, came from a chain, others actually started straight from school. And I could imagine that would be the
Yeah.
hardest to try to build up a clientele right out of
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
And I could not imagine. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
give all props to those girls
Sure.
for that reason. But I would say maybe half,
Yeah.
maybe a little less than
Okay.
half. The big thing is, and even for me, even though I'm a go-getter, is familiar familiar
Verizon.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
familiarity
Yeah.
and comfortableness
Yep.
is sometimes holds us back.
Okay.
And the only thing I say, I wish I would have done this sooner. And, that was
Wow.
7 years in a chain, and I probably could have gone off on my own in 4.
Wow.
But it was just being comfortable,
Wow.
just not wanting to, answer the what ifs. And then when I did it, I'm like, well, this wasn't that bad. That's when I was just like, well, why didn't you do it sooner? So I think that is the one thing human nature,
Yep.
teaches us is, oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it,
Yeah.
and so it really took me almost to my last straw working for someone
Yeah.
else to finally be like, you know what, I can do this on my own. And it shouldn't have gotten to that point
Yeah.
because I could have easily done it prior to when I did. But I'm very happy with where I'm at and
Yeah.
Don't regret
Yeah,
anything.
well, great reflection. And folks, if you're listening, I mean, I think this is a great point that, you wish you would have done it sooner. And
Mhm.
how many of us have battled that, chin rubbing, apprehension. Do we do it? Do we, when's the right time? And you know what? Just like so many things in life, there is no right time for it. You just
Right.
do it. And now, here's the kicker: is in the end result, are you better off from a financial point of view doing it on your own than you were working for someone?
1,000 times.
Okay, bingo. You see that?
Thousand
And there
times.
you go.
It
Right?
is it has opened so many more opportunities for the future, and it's gotten me, it's kickstarted me into some other business
Yep.
adventures for my future now.
Good.
Not only is it supporting my daughter in ways that I could never imagine being able to support her, we've started traveling for the last
Yeah.
7 years. We have traveled so much. We've been to over 31 states and now 4 or 5 countries. We just got back from Europe, and that was something at 27 when I first got my house after working the 4
Yeah.
jobs. Um, I would have never imagined.
Yeah.
Um, of course, priorities have changed. I don't shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wear T-shirts that are 10 years old, and I just really, looked at what was more important,
Right.
and experiences are where it's at.
Right.
So, um, but opening my own business,
Right.
it's furthered that beyond to my wildest dreams
Right.
now. So,
Interesting.
yeah, that's where the I wish I would have done
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
sooner
Yeah. Well, I think the
came
pattern.
from.
Okay, did I cut you off? I'm
No,
sorry. Okay.
no, it yeah.
Well, I think the pattern that you're kind of presenting here, or the progression, I should say, is a better word for it, is really important to take note of, because I think, not only did you glean some really good best practices from working
Mhm.
in a structured, chain. And when we say chain, mean it's a franchise chain, basically. Working in these chains, you were able to grow your best practice knowledge and learn the craft really well. And then once go off on your own, you realize, wow, I could have done it sooner. But the progression is, you've equipped yourself with a tool bag of
Right.
necessary, customer relations, customer service, the actual craft you do, scheduling, maintenance. You learned, I'm sure, things on how to, take care of your equipment, and
Yes.
where to buy them. And so you've learned all the ropes. And so, chances are, when, even though, you might want to do something now, maybe it does require a couple years late, more of just acquiring all those different skill sets.
Right.
And, but to hear you say you wish you would have done it sooner, is great, because, don't delay. It,
Right.
it's not, it's better than you think it is on the
Yep.
other side of that. So interesting. So you've kind of changed your purchasing habits, changed your lifestyle to focus on what's more important. We here at this podcast, my book, everything that I do consulting wise, it rests under what we call the experience economy. And in my opinion, the reason we're here having this podcast together is because I go to get my hair cut with you, but it's not just to get my hair cut. It's the overall experience of someone who listens, who's punctual, who does a good job, knows what they're doing, is confident, and it's that whole experience. So now let's transfer that over to life, because we live to work, or we work to live, and
Right.
here you're chasing now, not materialism, but the experience
Mhm.
side of the fence. So tell us a little bit about this love affair with traveling. What's all that,
It all stemmed from going back to how I was raised, never left the county, just thought that my whole life revolved around this one small county. And, having a baby early on, you still are just so like focused in that moment that you don't realize there's anything else out there. And I think that's like I just started getting curious, like what is out
Mhm.
there? This can't be it. This just can't be it. And the older my daughter got, like I live and breathe her. She is my world, and I do everything for her. And that Ooh, yeah.
That's great.
So, in doing that, I decided I don't want her to be stuck in this one horse
No.
town. I don't want her to feel like there's nothing else out there. So, when she turned 10, that's really when I turned the page and said, I won't spend a dime on something unless it's traveling, unless it's showing her. And my goal was to get to all 50 states before she graduated. She graduates early in December this year, and we haven't got to all the states, but it's because we started traveling
Yeah.
outside the country.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
I'm like, how many countries can we
Yeah.
get to?
Yeah.
Um, but once once that travel bug bit, it's just I
Yeah.
can't get rid of it
Yeah.
now. So, um,
Interesting.
and what's wild is it kind of turned into what her future is about
Hmm.
because of it. I
Hmm.
have another client that owns an airplane, and he's like, with all this traveling, you should bring her out sometime and I'll take her up. And then that bit her, and now she's been flying. She has 20 hours of fly time at 17 years old, and she wants to do something in aviation. Now, I told her, there's no rush to grow up. Your
Yeah.
mom will always be
Yeah.
there. But get your time
Yeah.
in and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
So, she'd been
Interesting.
flying during the summer times, focusing on school during the school times, and we just were at the airport yesterday getting her 2 more bookings for next
That's
week.
great.
So, that's exciting. So,
That's
I feel
awesome.
like it kinda opened up, a future for her as
Yep.
well that, we would
Sure.
have never imagined. So,
Well, I mean, listen, seeing the world. I mean, 5 countries, 31 states. I mean, that's a lot. I'm 65, and I just finished getting to my 49th state, so I'm one shy. But business, took me to different parts
mhm.
of the world, which I'm fortunate for. Did a little bit of my own traveling overseas, but that really kind of gives you. I don't know if it does you, but it did me. It gives you a different perspective on life when you come back to America and you go, "Wow, look what I have. Look how blessed I am." I mean, do you feel that when you come back?
Yeah, I do. It it's opened my eyes in so many ways that, yeah, in some places like Europe,
Yep.
I didn't realize how spoiled I was with ice in my water
Yeah.
or air conditioning. But waking up for 10 days straight with a sweaty back, I did not
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
Um, and then I'm obsessed with my ice water, and you don't get ice in other
Yeah.
countries. But then there's also countries I went to, that I was like, "Oh, I wish America was more
Yeah.
like this." So
Yeah.
there's a give and take in all aspects. But the fact that I was able to obtain that knowledge through experience,
Yep.
I can never, replace that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
amazing, you
Yeah.
know.
No, it really is, and I just the appreciation you have for this great country,
Mhm.
and the reason we have the flag here is because we love the country in this show, and it's afforded us so many things that it's not until you go to a place like Bangladesh, and my buddy I was with there, he had a room on a different side of the hall of the hotel, and he said, "You got to come in my room and see this." And we looked out the back window, and here was this whatever it was, a big name hotel, Sheraton, Hilton, and there's a pool in the backyard and there's a fence, and on the other side of the fence was a community of about 75 people, and they all had open lean-to structures, so they had a common wall, they had no front door, but it was all that three-sided,
Yeah.
just and it was hard to look at, and then the kids are bathing in water or playing in water and bathing in this water that's mud water, and
Yeah.
you're seeing this and you're just saying, "Gosh, I mean, I couldn't even imagine a life like that." And so here we come back to America, and it's those kind of
Right.
trips that make you realize, you know what, we are fortunate, and just the air conditioning, the comfort, the ice,
Right.
little things we take for granted, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's exactly
I
it.
mean,
That's
isn't it crazy?
It is. It
Yeah,
is crazy. We've been to Puerto Rico and Mexico, and we saw a lot of that as well. That you're just like, oh wow,
yeah,
like when you're actually having to be
yeah,
very observant
yeah,
of your surroundings and stay on the resorts, and
yeah.
that is sad to think that that is people's lives.
Yes.
So
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to dip back to a customer service question real quick, and just and then I kind of just we'll go towards the end of the show here. But when you are working in chains, Um, do you recognize things that you would never do if this was your company? And do you take that insight to your company that you now have, your business that you have?
I feel like, unfortunately, in the working environment now, it's very hard to find employees that are wanting to strive for better. And when I was moving out of a chain and moving into working for myself, I actually did take that into consideration. And it's the reason why I started my business as a one man show, or one woman show. It's because, unfortunately, especially after COVID, it was very hard to find a whole staff that all cared.
Yeah,
And, the quality is lost when you're just hiring to
yeah,
fill a spot.
yeah.
So that's where I decided, one of my clients is the one that told me about the suite system that I'm in now, where it's, one room, but it's your business and you come and go and you rent it like an office space. I never knew that that was even a thing.
Yeah.
I came from 17 years where you rented a chair or a booth next to someone else. And being in almost all
Mhm,
men's haircuts for a long time, I felt like I couldn't bring all my clients
mhm,
sitting next to someone getting a perm or, someone getting a
mhm,
color service. That wouldn't work for me. So when one of my clients had brought it up, there is these things that are called suites and you can rent them. And I was
mhm,
like, that sounds expensive, but let me check into it.
mhm.
And it ended up working great for me. And for that reason, I personally recommend that more than anything. If you are a go getter, if you do work hard, and you don't want to,
Mhm.
try the whole brick and mortar, something so big right off the bat, start with a suite, start
Mhm.
with your thing. And then when you want to progress from that, then you can go into, multiple booths that you are renting out. But for me and my age and my time and where I'm at in my life, I feel
Yep.
like, being just myself
Yeah.
works best for me.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, listen, it's a sweet setup, and for any listeners or viewers out there that aren't familiar with it, you have to get buzzed in, so there's a safety factor. Nobody can just walk in from the outside, and then there's all these long hallways with all these different suites and all these other workers. And generally, if I'm not mistaken, most of the gals keep their doors open for a safety. So if there's
Mhm.
ever anything that were to happen, you've got, you can
Right.
hear. And so it's a very, am I right in saying it's a very safe environment?
Very
Okay.
safe, very
Yeah.
safe. It's a good area
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yeah.
that fact that someone just can't walk in and be like, "What
Right.
are you doing?" It's very nice. But you also build, even though everybody's in their own business, it's like you still have friendships.
Right.
You
Right.
walk past the door and someone says hi. So, there's several barbers
Yeah.
in there that I'm friends with now.
Interesting.
And just something as little as, oh my goodness, I forgot my charger at home and somebody
Yeah.
has it,
Yeah.
so nobody goes without.
That's cool.
So it is nice. It is nice, even though you have your own
Yeah.
business, there's plenty of people
Yeah.
there to help out at any moment.
You're looking
So,
out for each other. I mean,
mhm.
I kind of sense that when I'm in there, but definitely it feels like from my point of view, looks like it's a very safe environment for
Yes.
you guys. So that's great. One of the things that I love about what you do, and we'll get into this if it's okay, when we talk here about this experience economy, there were two authors of a book who wrote a book on this experience economy in '99, and they say that time is the currency of the experience economy. And so as a customer, you know, for a business to value my time as valuing their own too, but valuing my time first and foremost is definitely something that I've come to appreciate, over the years. And I have to say, folks, one of the things that's impressed me tremendously about doing business with Tiffany is you treat time very specifically and very carefully and very methodically. And there is never there is never a missed time. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Explain. You use a great app. Explain a little bit about this if you could. I think it's great.
So the app I just fell into again, talking with other business owners, other beauty industry workers, and is Gloss Genius. But there's several apps out there that is a booking system. I just got really fortunate with this one. I was able to set up all my own times, my services, what I offer, and how long that service takes. So again, with
Mhm.
just time, I was able to, figure out down to how many minutes a haircut would take me no matter what.
Yep.
Um, so with that, when I put in my haircuts, you got 20-minute sessions. If you have a haircut and a shampoo, it's a 30-minute session. That gives like a 5-minute leeway for cleanup if you're running a little slightly late. But I do not like being late. I do not like, making anyone wait. So that was what I liked best about the app is I was able to time it myself. So it is one after another.
Oh, wait.
One person's walking out, I've swept up and the next one's coming in and I like that. I do not
Oh,
like
yeah.
sitting down. I do not like waiting.
Oh,
So
it is slick. I mean, it really super slick. I didn't mean to cut you off.
thank
Did
you.
you have
No,
yeah.
no, you're good.
Super slick. And just to give you an idea, folks, so we had a podcast timing today. So I'm here on time, but I'm really late because Tiffany's here 15 minutes early and she's raring to go and ready. But that's the way she approaches business too, which is just so admirable, is that, you can schedule weeks in advance. You add this feature, you add, this to your appointment. You know how much it adds monetarily, you know how much time it adds,
Mhm.
you calculate for that. And it's just, talk about, just having a great overall experience, and then, not to mention the final product, I really have come to appreciate the final product because and I know what the magic is. It's because it's, the input of information you take and you listen and then you give the customer what they want. And
Mm.
that's real. Hats off to you. You do a
Thank you
great
so
job with
much.
that. And I know you do that for everybody because I just know that's how you are. So aside from travel, Tiffany loves to, work in her home and make her home better, but you love gardening. So you
Love it.
touched on it. So a little bit about that if you could.
I never thought I would appreciate picking weeds or anything yard work. I hate mowing grass, and my favorite time of the year is when the grass dies. But it's because I have gardens surrounding my entire house. Every year, I become hyper fixated on another flower of choice, and it's actually started a thought process in my head for a future business plan. And which one day I can't do hair forever. My shoulder and hand won't allow it. But one day in the next 5 to 10 years, I want to have a full business, based around flowers and such. So,
Yeah.
um, in these last 7 years, I was just, more and more and more because, when you first build a house, it's empty, the front yard's just plain and bare,
Yeah.
and I just started adding one thing
Oh,
after another, and it grew. And
wow.
so
Cool.
now every morning let my dogs out, and while they're out doing their business, I'm, like, talking to my flowers.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of therapeutic,
It's
isn't it, for
very
you?
much so,
Right?
very much so, and it, like, brings a smile to your
Yeah.
face. You're like, "Wow, look at you. You grew an extra leaf." So
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny. My wife started talking to plants a couple years ago, and she told me about, I watched a podcast on it or a YouTube
Mhm,
video or whatever it was, and read about it. And you know what? And I mean, since she's been doing it, I'm amazed these plants are
mhm.
doing better.
Yeah,
What's the deal?
I know, I don't know. I always touch the leaves and such like that. I have several plants inside, and I really feel like that helps with the quality of air as
Yeah,
well.
sure.
Um, but a lot of people in the winter time when there's not a lot of sun, you kind of get in
Yeah.
a funk and you kind of like don't feel, maybe the same as you do in the summer months. And I feel like, that's a lot to do with, lack of, sun rays, vitamin D. And so having plants in the house year round
Mhm.
really makes me feel Like when it's snow and dreary outside, you still see like, ooh, summer's coming or it'll be back soon. And that brings happiness too,
Sure.
when you're stuck inside doing
Sure.
nothing, get yourself a couple plants. It really
Sure.
brings happiness.
There you go. And you are a person that is never short of a smile. You've
Right.
always got a great smile. You've always got a very upbeat, positive attitude. And you did when worked with you, when you worked at the chains too. But what do you? I mean, you're by and large a go getter. You're a positive person. The glass is always half full with you. Um, but what is it that you like best about being your own boss right now? What would you tell the listeners?
The main thing is just the flexibility. At any moment I can schedule myself off. Like today is a day off, but I'm deciding to go to Kentucky Lake and go kayaking for 4th of July. So I scheduled myself on. And so after this, I have work to do,
There
but
you go.
I can go into work until whatever time I
Yeah.
want. And then tomorrow I'll work a little bit and then leave. And then, yeah, it is one of those. If you're in business for yourself, you don't make money if you're not working. However, when I come back, I opened up my hours on a Saturday longer than
Yeah.
normal. So there's just always time to be able to make up. So, how I look at it as never pass up an opportunity because you can always make that time up as long as you're willing to.
Interesting.
And so that's the main thing I do now
Yeah.
is I just love the flexibility and I love just feeling like I'm gonna succeed no matter what, at
Yeah.
this point. It's far enough in now to
No,
know.
absolutely. Well, so cool. Well, share with everybody how they can get in touch with you. What's the easiest way?
Well, so the easiest way is Google. If you Google Tiffany Luck Haircuts, LLC, Google has everything. It
Okay.
has the website, it has my hours of operation, and you can contact me through the website at any time either. It's a very easy, straightforward website. It has my portfolio on it of types of hair I've done. I offer haircuts, shampoos, waxing, and updos. I used to run a beauty or a updo business for weddings.
Okay.
And now instead of going places and doing it for like 8 hours, I just offer it in salon. But all that's offered right off the list. You choose what you want, then it goes straight to what date do you want, then it goes to what time do you want. So it's just
Yeah.
the ease of access and being able to see everything right there without, being like, I don't know how to work this
Yeah.
website. That's what I really love about that. But Google is
Excellent.
the number one place to do it. Tiffany Luck Haircuts, LLC.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. And it's in St. Peter's. Is that the?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right across from Mid Rivers Mall,
Yep.
right next to Chuck's Boots.
Yep.
Um, and it's right off of Highway 70 in Mid River. So very easy to get to no matter what direction you're
Yeah.
coming from. A lot of my clients came from Cottleville and, they'll come 364. Yep, exactly. Um, and then now the new clients are coming from O'Fallon
Yep.
and St. Charles area.
Awesome.
So it's a very great location.
Awesome.
And then going home, if there's traffic, I can go to 79 or I can go all the
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
61. So it's great for everyone, I feel
Yeah,
like.
79 is nice. It's right out there. Yeah, that's
Yes.
another way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, awesome. Well, guys, gals, families, or kids, Tiffany Luck Haircuts LLC. Highly recommend the professionalism that is embodied in this business. It's so exciting to see someone like yourself take off and just blossom and flourish like you are. So hats off to you. You
Thank you.
run a nice shop, and the website exactly what she said. The whole apps, it's just so dang easy. It's not even funny, and just really allows us as customers to have that control over our time,
Mhm.
and you fall right in line because your time's money too, and your time's important as well as respecting ours. So it goes hand in hand. Is there anything? I mean, I forgot to ask you that you might want to talk about or mention, or
Mm, Not really. I mean, you
okay,
touched on all really great points. I don't offer color
okay,
anymore. That's again just over the years,
okay,
just kind of retired from that. Also, because I do have so many haircut clients, I didn't want to cut into their availability
right,
spots, and color unfortunately does take several
yep,
hours. So I was fortunate to be able to give that point up. But again, if it's a haircut, there isn't a haircut I haven't done or that I couldn't talk through. And then the creativity
Yeah.
of, an updo every once in a while when needed. I love that. And that's really it.
Very cool. Well, it has been such a pleasure having you on. And, we end every one of these shows. We love rock and roll. We love music. And, generally all of us, I mean, you seem to be a very, you probably love music. I know you do. What is one of your favorite songs that you'd like to end this show with? We'll put the link up of the song. And
Well, anybody who knows me knows that I love Taylor Swift. And I mean, all of her music to me is brilliant. She's just the greatest business, woman I've ever seen in real life, like where I haven't met her in real life. But, I love everything about her because no matter what, she just keeps going, doesn't let anybody, bring her down in any way. So Shake It Off is my
there
favorite
you go.
song for that reason too,
There
because
you go.
that's what I've done. I've lived by that. Just shake off all the negativity. Don't allow anybody in your bubble, in your space that can remotely bring you down in any way,
Awesome.
and just keep going.
Awesome.
So,
Well, great advice, great perspective. And listen, you are listening today from somebody who's done it. If you have aspirations to open your own business, this is a great show for you. We appreciate your input. Thank you so much for laying everything out, on like you did today, and just letting us know what makes you tick and how you did things. And folks, we appreciate you tuning in today, and you can catch us in 168 hours. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much,
thank you
Tiffany.
so much,
Appreciate it.
Jeff.